Is it the giant?
I think so. I literally cannot lose.
Oh my gosh, Richard! Richard!
I'm winning the tournament if I get this fish in.
What? Don't be. Oh my gosh!
Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is the Bass Nations New Mexico at Ute Lake, qualifier number 5 and 6, our final qualifiers for the year. This tournament turned out really well for me. Could have been a bit better on the first day, but we'll get into that. Let's jump into this tournament at Ute Lake. Just give you a little context. We were at Conscious about a month before this, and the smallmouth were spawning. Ute Lake and Conscious are basically on the same latitude. I knew the smallmouth in Ute Lake were going to be post-spawn. So that was my mentality going to this, was to find post-spawn smallmouth. I got a lot of videos from practice, so I'm probably going to just roll through them all here while I talk over them. Less from the tournament days. I really need to get better at paying attention to my camera on tournament days, but I haven't. So let's start rolling into them. I'm here at Ute. I know the smallmouth are post-spawn, and I believe the easiest fish to catch are post-spawn smallmouth. So I'm down fishing in the 10 to 15 foot range over some underwater grass. And what I'm doing is using a freeloader, the 6 cents one, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, swim bait and a drop shot. So we're down here, lower end of the lake, water temp's about 67 degrees. We're focusing on post-spawn smallmouth, and they're setting up in around the 12 to 20 foot range. I'm sitting here live scoping. My co-angler, Ben, he's back there dragging around a drop shot because he doesn't have a live scope. We start our practice day down here, and we're getting into good fish. The 2.5 pound range, smallmouth, some 3s, some 3.5s, even 4s. And just to give you a context here, down when you fish Ute in a tournament, normally 12.5, 13 pounds is the winning weight. And if you have in that range, you're doing really good. So we're fishing down here. We're on to the good smallmouth. So we decide, all right, this is a game plan. We're gonna head up to a different flat area. We get up into this different area with the flat. It doesn't have grass, but it has submerged trees. When I get into these submerged trees, I end up catching a few in here. Ben ends up catching a few in here, and I get a quite largemouth coming off of a tree. So this is leading the back of the pocket at 65, 67 degree water temp. Largemouth are moving up to spawn. We find them out here at the mouth, the smallmouth out, and the post-spawn pattern. The largemouth and very late pre-spawn to spawn pattern. So we decide to head up to some of the areas I know where largemouth are spawning. We get up into these areas where these largemouth should be spawning, and we can't find anything. The bite is actually not that good up there if it wasn't for fry garters. Like in this picture here, you can see fry around. In all these trees up here, we could catch a fry garter, a male smallmouth bass fry garter. So we have this secondary pattern going, but the problem is we're getting 1.5 pound, maybe 2 pound fish out of these fry garters. It's enough for a decent place finish, but not enough for a win. I'm going into this tournament going for the wins. That's my whole goal in this whole section. It's hero or zero at this point. So we're into all these fry garters. We catch a bunch of them from drop shots, swim baits, Texas rigs. We can catch them on anything. If it mimics a bluegill, you throw into the ball of fry, we catch them. So we decide, okay, let's go down the lake a little bit more to more clear water and see if we can't find any largemouth on beds. So going to the back of some of these channels and pockets, and all we're finding are more smallmouth. Out on this main section of lake, I find a group of smallmouth in post spawn. Catch this one, it's 2¼ pounds, and there was like 7 with it. So the smallmouth are on post spawn on the main lake section, and the male smallmouth are still in the back of the pockets guarding fry. When we're out on the main channel, main flats and stuff like that, we're catching more females, larger amounts. So that's still sticking into my head. That's what we're gonna be doing. Because as I go through these pockets, just looking around, catching more and more fry garters. We just keep catching fry garters. There's an immense amount of them. They had a really good spawn this year, and the smallmouth, there's fry everywhere. But as we run through these pockets, we're finding no largemouth on beds. I'm looking on live scope with my eyes. I don't know where they're at. After talking to some people have some fish on beds, which the first day of the tournament comes into play. For those guys, they do really well, but I can't find any. Fast forward to tournament day 1, what I have for size is the deep smallmouth, the post spawn female smallmouth. We're getting good size in that 12 to 20 foot range. We head out down lake to these flats, underwater points where these post spawn smallmouth are setting up, hitting shad as they come by these little points and these flats. We're just targeting them. I'm up front live scoping. This is the first video I have of the first day. It's actually Ben catching a nice 3-pounder. He's out back dragging a drop shot around with, it's like a gold green pumpkin. He hooks up on this very nice smallmouth out of the back of the boat, just dragging through these points. He can't see anything on live scope. He's spanking my butt. So as he's pulling up this fish, we get very lucky. He doesn't get a good hook in it or something, but we managed to get this fish into the boat. Drop shot pops out of its mouth right here. You can watch this video. He's excited, I'm excited. It's a big fish. And I already have one in the live well, forgot to record it. My fault. Tournament day, I'm not paying attention to the camera. So Ben has this very, very nice 3-pound smallmouth. I have one in the boat for 2 pounds. And we continue along down through here. I'm up front. I'm catching some small ones. It's almost like the males have started to leave the fry. They're coming out now too. So I'm starting to catch a bunch of smaller males, 1.5 pounds. They're not well fed up. They've just moved out. They're skinny. Whereas the females I'm catching, they're full of shad, full of crawfish. And they've been eating for at least a few weeks, where these males are just starting to come out. So I'm getting issues with catching a bunch of these little males. But Ben's out back here. He hooks onto this one, and it's a nice one. I mean, watch this video. He catches a nice freaking fish.
I need the net. I need the net, Richard.
Is it the giant?
I think so. I literally cannot lose it.
Oh my gosh, Richard! Richard!
I'm winning the tournament if I get this fish in.
Well, don't be. Oh my gosh! Dude! Bring him over here. Bring his head up. Oh my gosh! Richard!
So he had that fish. It ended up being 4 pounds. It was somewhere maybe like 393 or something. It was a large fish. What ended up hurting was, like, I found the crawfish, it puked up probably 1/2 pound of stuff into my live well. It stunk. I didn't realize it till I got home. Horrible smell. But we go on to that. Ben ends up getting another one. I don't get it on video. Ended up being 2 1/4. Still, once again, nice fish. I'm up front, still trying to weed through all these little ones. And as I'm weeding through these little ones, I start to get into better fish. So I've learned that the females the bigger fish have gone down about another 5 foot. So instead of being in that 12 to 20 foot range, they're kind of in the 22 to 15 foot range. They've just gone a little bit deeper. So after learning that they're a bit deeper, I started fishing a bit deeper. And I started hooking up on some nicer fish. The only problem was, I don't know why, but for the life of me, I couldn't get good hook sets. They were spitting it as they jumped.
Yeah.
They were spitting it. I had on 5 fish for every one I caught that day. It was really bad. There was a section where I hooked on 4 nice smallmouth in a row, lost all 4 of them within about a span of 5 minutes. I was not a happy individual. It was taking its toll on me mentally, and I think that's my biggest problem with fishing, is I let mental things get to me. I just kind of stopped catching them. I tried to do a whole bunch of different stuff differently. I tried switching up hooks, doing all that, and the problem is I went to something that I really haven't done, and I started catching less and less. Going on towards the last 45 minutes of the day, I picked back up the freeloader, and I ended up hooking into this nicer one. It ended up being a 2-pounder, and I got this one into the boat. Once again, barely hooked. I should have just held that freeloader in my hand all day and just kept going with it. But I kept trying different stuff because I was losing so many fish. It got to me mentally, and I just couldn't get over the mental factor of me losing all those fish. It really got to me. And this 2-pounder was the last fish I caught for the day. So, time to go in. We go in and weigh. I get 8th place. So this is qualifier number 5. I got 8th place. I mean, yeah, you can look at it. I had 8th. They paid down to 7th. One out of the money, story of my life. But 8th place, I already knew at that point that my ticket to the regionals tier 1, guaranteed to get to go, was locked in the bag. So Sunday comes around, which is the 6th qualifier. These are 2 different one-day tournaments. The 6th qualifier rolls around. We're going out the next day. Get in, we have a talk. It's me, Justin, his son, Ben, Mark. He ended up having an earache, not fishing the last day. And we're talking about it, and Ben was out by me. He saw me lose a bunch of fish. I mean, I lost a bunch of fish. We go into the next day, and I have battery issues. So, once again, it's not a good start for my mental well-being. I literally have to leave the engine running most of the time, so that's why you see we got life jackets on. Called the tournament director. He said it was all right as long as we have life jackets on at all times while the engine's running, not in gear. So we had to have that running just to keep live well going, graphs going, everything else going. So that was another reason I didn't get a lot of video from this last day, is I was paying attention to my power levels and watching my graphs, watching my power levels dip. Got to start the motor, let the motor run for 45 minutes, shut it down, watch my power dips, I'm restarting it. That got me kind of squirrely. But so this is the reason I don't have my first fish catch, is because I was dealing with all that. I wasn't thinking about the camera, and I know I should start thinking about the camera more to get these fish catches. But Justin, he told me about a bedfish he knew about. He couldn't get to bite, and it was down towards the south end of the lake where we were. He was headed up on the north end. Wind was supposed to pick up later in the day. He said, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get down there and catch it, so thank you, Ben. He gave me the location of this fish on a bed, and went in. She was directly on the bed. First thing in the morning, 3 casts, she was in the boat. She was a 4-pounder. 4-pound largemouth on a bed. And there's a little funny story in that. I'm like, all right, this is where he said the bed would be. And he said it was a really skittish fish. And I was like, this is not a skittish fish. I mean, it was guarding the bed. I mean, it was a 3-cast bedfish. It wasn't that hard to catch. Well, it turns out I actually stopped too short, and the one that he had was in the back, more towards the back, and that one was a very skittish fish. I spent probably an hour on it. You get a bait up by it, it may turn on it once or twice, and just take off the bed, and it would leave the bed for 10-15 minutes. Come back, if you splashed your bait wrong, off the bed for 10-15 minutes. If I dedicated more time to her, yes, I could have caught her. I wasn't able to catch her. I caught the first one, but I wasn't able to catch the one he told me about. But thank you for telling me about it. I gotta thank Ben for telling me about it, just because it led me to the other fish that was on a bed that I was able to catch. We head back down onto these flats we were fishing. The white bass have ended up breaking out of their schools. They were in schools. They were kind of easier to avoid on Saturday because they were in schools, and if you could see the school of white bass, you could avoid them pretty well. Well, now they're broken up and they're running around in individuals too. So they're looking like largemouth or smallmouth running around out there. So I ended up catching a lot of white bass like this. So after catching all these white bass, I get locked into where the smallmouth are setting up more on this flat, and I start getting into some nicer smallmouth. We're talking 2-pound range, and that's what I need. I already got a 4-pound largemouth in my well at this point, so I get into these 2-pound smallmouth. That's 12 pounds right there. After we get into these better size smallmouth, I changed up my spinning rod from a medium to a medium heavy with 12-pound line, and I'm actually able to get the hook into them a bit better. I'm still losing some, but I'm not as losing as many as I was the previous day. I'm catching 1 out of every 2 I hook. So it's still not a great hookup to land ratio, but I'm getting these fish into the boat. So we end up running through. I get a limit down there. I'm sitting on a limit, and you hear me right here. It's not good, but it's not bad.
Could be worse.
It's a check, but it needs to be better. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's a check, and I'm sitting at about 12 pounds right there. If I knew what I know later, now I was in a good position with that 12 pounds I showed on the scale. We end up running through, we find some deep fry garters. I wish I had some video of this on my live scope if I would have remembered, but it looked like a haze on the bottom. And I was just like, what is because the low battery, is it just showing weird artifacts? Well, this haze in about 12 foot of water was actually males guarding fry in 12 foot of water. I didn't even know they went down that deep. But I cast it into the haze and flip a drop shot into the haze, and you would see a smallmouth, little male fry garter come out, hit it. So we ended up catching a bunch of more fish. Sorry again, I don't have the video of that, but we ended up catching probably 15 more fish. I call minimally talking, you know, 1/10 of a pound, 2/10 of a pound. I've spent my whole day down there. I'm sitting at about 12.5 pounds at this point. Got time to head back, or not necessarily head back to weigh in, but we got to head up the lake. Just because I have power issues, I want to be closer. If there's issues where I can just troll back and make it in time, because I knew I had enough to at least cut a decent check. I was thinking, you know, I'll be at least top 4 at this point, so I know I'm going to be in the top 4. Wind's picking up, and we decide to hit some of these shallow points with wood on them. We go into these shallow points and we're going through. We've caught a few more fry garters in that area, but on this one right here, I I can kind of see like a light spot, and I figured, you know, I'll just flip over there next to the tree. There's kind of a light spot, you know, but it's kind of obvious, and a bunch of people have been in there, and I figured if it was a bed, you know, especially with the wind being down, people being in there, it should have been seen, it should have been caught. But, you know, never underestimate what people can miss. I miss a whole bunch of stuff too. But so I pitch in there, go through here in this video right here.
He was probably a fry guarder, huh?
Oh my. Let's go! 5. Huh? 4.
Not the best net job though.
That's right, another 4-pounder. It calls out one of my 2-pounders with, well, it wasn't a 4-pounder, it was 1.7. It was 3.72, 3.7, it was 3.72 on my scale. So it was smaller than the bedfish I caught. But I got him in the boat. I know I'm sitting pretty now. I'm sitting at roughly about 13 and a half. We got 25, 30 minutes left to go before weigh-in. Run out, there's this cove called Last Chance Cove. Or I call it Last Chance Cove. It's the one before you go to the weigh-in. There's a tree that sits in the middle of it. I don't know why, but that tree is always good for one fish. It could be a 12-incher, it could be a 6-pounder. I've caught both in it, but every time I go there, I can catch one fish. I went back there, flipped in, thumped immediately, rip it back, 2 1/4. That puts me at about, on my scale, 13.9 pounds. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling, you know, I either got the win or I got second place. Power issues, everything going by. We head to weigh in. 14.05 with a big fish of 412, which was actually the one you saw get caught. It's probably because, you know, they put the bag in there, but I ended up picking wrong. The other one was heavier because we weighed it, but that's the one I picked, so that's the one I got big fish on. 14.05, that's right, got me to win. And that 412 got me big bass. So we got the win and we got big bass. That's 3 or 4 years running I've gotten big bass at Ute Lake, now fishing it in tournaments. So every time I go, I seem to get big bass. I have a bunch of these big bass plaques on my wall. I don't know why. We hammer it down, 14.05. Here's the final results. I win, and Ben, my non-boater, he gets six pounds something, has a dead fish penalty, and still gets second place. So Ben, congratulations to you, Ben. He got a first on Saturday and a second on Sunday. So I was on the fish. Saturday, I wasn't on the fish to win, if you saw the weights on that, but I should have gotten second, third place. We lost so many fish. Lost a bunch of fish right at the boat. Good 3s, good 3-pound smallmouth, 3-pound class smallmouth. Even if you, probably the biggest one I lost at the boat was a 4. Came up, jumped, gone. Saturday, it was my fault. I just wasn't getting good hookups. I changed hooks, I tried different things. It helped going to a medium heavy spinning rod, 12-pound test. That helped on Sunday, but Saturday was my issue. Netman's issue, Ben. We went through, we got better on Sunday. I won, he got second. On day 1, he got first, I got 8th. So here's the best of our 4 format. Placed 8th, made tier 1 regionals for the Bass Nation, so I will be going to the regionals again next year. This year I went absolutely horrible. Muskogee was fun, but it was a pain. I lost my phone in the water, broke props. So many things messed me up mentally at Muskogee. I hope we don't go there again for a 3rd year in a row. No offense to Muskogee, I do People are great, area's great. It just did not jive and I did not do well there. But so that's it right there, guys. We got an 8th and we got the win, and we made tier 1 for regionals. And congratulations to Matabeta and Tyler Wilson. They get to go straight to the championship. They had a great year. Ben right here, he crushed everybody. He got 2nd in AOI, but his best 4 were good enough. He's going straight to nationals next year, 2025. So congratulations to him and everybody else who did well. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy this. I don't have any tournaments set for any time in the recent future. I will be doing some boat stuff. And if you're wondering, I did fix the power issue with the charging. It was loose cables, went through, checked everything, just retightened every cable. Charging works now. What do you know? Boats break out another 1,000. But doing some boat work for the next month or so, and I don't think I have a tournament until June. I want to say June is my next tournament, and we'll do that. But as far as this year's gone, Bass Nations is over, play 7th AOI. If you guys liked it, please like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the fish catches. You learned something. But I'm gonna go hang these guys up on the wall. Try to get some jackpot tournament wins this year. Thank you for watching. Talk to you later.